Come on in Facebook, come on in YouTube. Getting ready to start my show called Jimmy Rants. And if you've never been here on a Friday, Friday is literally one of my favorite episodes to do because we do this show called Ask Me Anything. So literally people ask all kinds of questions on this special Ask Me Anything segment of Jimmy Rants. And it runs the gamut. So it's so many questions come in, some oddball ones and some just common ones about keto and fasting and all the rest. So pretty interesting day to be here. Hello, Norma. Hello, Crystal. We are getting ready in about 5 minutes to start Jimmy Rants. Hello to my YouTube live followers as well. Thank you guys for being here today. It's always a pleasure to see all kinds of people. And I know it's working because I just got a notification on my other phone. Jimmy Moore is now live on YouTube. So that was cool. Got a little push notification. Hello, Mary. Thank you for being here as well. Getting ready to start my show, Jimmy Rants. It is the Friday edition, which means it's Ask Me Anything. So literally, I'm going to come to you guys for questions that you might have for me. Obviously, I have a wide array of expertise in a lot of different areas, but pretty much whatever you want to ask. So please write your comments down right there, and when the time comes, we will come to you and address your questions. Obviously, it's an Instagram live show, so I will go to them first, but when the time comes, I will look at your questions as well. Hello, Judy. Thank you for being here today. Hello, Pam. Looking forward to starting the show here in just a moment. Got a lot of really interesting kind of human interest stories at the beginning. And there was one that I'm going to talk about that I watched this viral video. It was about 35 or so minutes long. That when you hear about this story, it's going to shock you. And of course, there's a lot of things at play there, why it happened, blah, blah, blah. But it's just disappointing, especially in this era of COVID-19, that something like that would happen. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. Hello, Lana. Hello, Georgie. Thank you guys for being here. Hello, YouTubers. Always appreciate, since I started going live, it's been right about 2 weeks now that I've been going live on YouTube. And I love it. I love having you guys here. We do this live stream for you guys, and then afterwards, we take the feed from Instagram and we put it up on YouTube as the archive form of Jimmy Rants. But we like to kind of come on here a little bit early for you guys so that you can see what we're doing here, a little bit of the behind the scenes, and sometimes after the show, obviously, we stick around and we sometimes do a little extra content for both of you guys. So thank you so much for being here. But please, go ahead, get your questions ready. Go ahead and write them down there. And when the time comes, we will come to you, like literally ask anything you want. Hello, Lana, about keto, fasting, low-carb diets, podcasting, book writing, pretty much anything you ever wanted to ask me. Cholesterol, I know a lot about that. And you guys watch enough Jimmy Rants, you kind of know what I talk about. So no question is off limits, so ask away. And sometimes I get some oddball ones, so we will see how oddball they are. Hello, Sarah. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. We're getting ready to start my show, Jimmy Rants. And yeah, all right, so we're a couple minutes early. This is Ask Me Anything, so I think people will still come in a couple minutes earlier. Hello, Mandy Hale. Thank you for being here today on Jimmy Rants. Good morning, good morning. Although it's barely morning here on the East Coast where you are, it's literally morning. So morning coffee time for you, Mandy. So get it in you, girl. So yeah, please ask your questions. And when we go to you here in a minute, that way I have something to look at. Sometimes I'll come over, okay, thanks Instagram. I'll come over here and I scroll and there's no questions at all. So please don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging, Facebook. Hello, Beth. I'm going to see you over Instagram here in a second. Thank you, Beth, for being here. And same goes for you guys on YouTube. Don't leave me hanging. When I come to you, I'd like to have some questions to be able to address. So ask away. Mandy's like, oh, yes, the coffee is real. Yes. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Rhonda. All right, we're going to get the show started now. Hello, Ryan, over on Instagram Live. Jimmy Rants about to commence, and here we go. Come on in, you guys. We got a brand new episode of Jimmy Rants in store for you here today. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can engage live in the content, but you got to go follow me. I'm over here on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, you can engage live in the content like all these wonderful people coming in here right now. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for the show. We're also simulcasting over here on my Facebook page, so thank you guys for being here as well as on YouTube live streaming. We've been doing it about 2 weeks live streaming for my YouTubers, so thank you for being here. The whole Jimmy Rants family, we are family. We're all here today, so thank you for being here. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours right here on Instagram. After 24 hours, it does disappear. Pop on over to JimmyRants.com or to YouTube, where you can type in a keyword Jimmy Rants and you can find all the past episodes. So guys, it is Friday. Friday means ask me anything. So all throughout the week, I do all these Jimmy Rants, and people sometimes will throw in a random off-topic question from what I'm talking about, and I'm always like, come back on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we always address your questions at that point. So this is your day to shine. You have a question about keto, fasting, cholesterol, book writing, podcasting, being famous online, dealing with haters, you name it, or anything that you want to ask about me. I'm happy to do that. But before we get to that, I always like to bring kind of items of interest that come up. And one of them, I'm going to start with the big one, because this was quite disturbing to me. Yesterday, there was this gentleman in Oklahoma City who was trying to deliver some furniture to a customer. He drives for J.B. Hunt, and so he's got his big 18-wheeler, and he's got to go into this gated community. He types in the code, goes in, makes the delivery, and then has to turn his truck around in order to get out. Well, on the little side road that he turned into to turn around, when he turned around, there was a white car that parked right in front of him. And he's like, okay, dude, can you move so I can go? And so the gentleman was saying, well, why are you here? This is private property. You're not allowed here. Tell me why you're here. And of course, the gentleman is an African-American man. And this guy that was questioning him was an old white guy. And the old white guy just kept berating this guy. Oh, you got to tell me why you're here. And he's like, well, I'm trying to leave if you'll get out of my way. And he literally blocked him in. I will give credit to the African-American gentleman. I don't know if I could have stayed as calm as he did, but he did. He stayed really calm. He threw a few choice words out there that maybe didn't help the matter, but he was like, look, I don't have to tell you anything. Just move out of my way so I can go about my day and do my job. Guys, this old man detained this young man for about 30 minutes, and he called the police on him and just suspected that nefarious activities were happening. And then he got another neighbor involved before the police came, and they tried to say, well, what are you doing here? Tell us all the reasons why you're here. And of course, he had just done a delivery at a neighbor's house. He said, I don't have to tell you why I'm here. Just move out of my way so I can go. Finally, the customer that he delivered to heard about the commotion in the neighborhood, came over and said, yeah, he delivered me furniture. Let him go. What are you doing? And so he Facebook Lived it, this gentleman, this African-American gentleman. He was on Facebook Live to protect himself. He's like, I don't want anything to go down that it's not recorded and kept for posterity in case something happens. To his credit, he stayed butt in seat the whole time. He kept his seatbelt latched. He did talk to the guy through his window, but he was, for the most part, pretty darn respectful to what was obviously a couple of racist guys. And can I tell you, as I was watching the comments come in from all of these people watching this live, it really broke my heart to see that a lot of African Americans said, see, this is what white people do to us. And it broke my heart because that is not indicative of a typical white person. It's not. I know there's this image in the black community that all white people are racist. We are not. Like, I grew up around, I was in a high school that had 70% black people. And I never even looked at people for the color of their skin. It was always, they were people. They were humans. And you love all humans. So when I'm sitting here watching this yesterday, it's just, I grow tired of this stigma that every single white person is indicative of those two old guys that were obviously racist. And I'm here to tell you, not all of us are that way. And not all of us have this hate in our heart and have this prejudgment. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure you can just Google Oklahoma City or Oklahoma and find it on a Google search, but it broke my heart. I'm gonna post a clip of it a little bit later on my stories on Instagram, but this is real, guys, that people have these things in their hearts that make them do stupid stuff. And the poor guy, finally at the end, he was doing everything perfect. He called his boss. This guy is kind of illegally blocking me in, and the boss is like, well, can you get around him? He said, yeah, but I would tear up the yard. So there was yards on both sides, and he's in an 18-wheeler. He just thought he would tear up the yard, so he refused to do that. He was being very considerate. And then at the end of when the guy moved his vehicle, he called the police and said, you know, I think you were called about an incident. I don't want to be accused of fleeing the scene of a crime, blah, blah, blah. He was so professional, this driver. So I took great admiration and respect for him for what he went through with that incident. But if you haven't seen it yet, go look it up because it's disgusting. And as a white person, I'm whiter than white. I think it's repulsive what those white people did to this man. Repulsive. And we as Caucasians do not need to put up with homers like that. I think the kids these days call them Karens. A couple of Karens. And of course the customer calls the gentleman back and says, I am so sorry. These guys are very protective in our neighborhood. Sorry you had to be detained like that. Oh, it's not right, blah, blah, blah. I hope this guy goes after those two guys because they need to be made an example of. We do not need to tolerate racism in America. And yet there's this perception that every white person is racist toward every black person. And it's simply not true. Breaks my heart. But it happens on a daily basis, this perception getting reinforced like this incident that happened yesterday. So go look it up if you want to look at it. It will make you angry if you are someone who is trying to do all the right things and love everybody. All right, let me move on from that one because I'm going to cry if I keep talking about it. Today, you guys, I am on the Fat Burning Man podcast. Go check out Abel James. I see he just popped in over here on my Facebook Live. So thanks for being here, Abel. But Abel James has been doing a podcast since 2010 called the Fat Burning Man podcast, one of the biggest health podcasts in the entire world. And he and I recently did a great show right here from Jimmy Rant Studio on my end of things. And so go listen to it. Wherever you listen to podcasts, Abel also has a video of it as well. That he posts up on his website, Fat Burning Man. So go look that up. Had a great time chatting with Abel. Abel is a pro when it comes to asking questions. And of course, he and I have been really good friends since the paleo movement was really popular, which seems like forever ago, Abel, but had a great conversation. So definitely go check that out over on your favorite podcasting format. All right, so I've been teasing you guys that I have a new device that's out there that helps to measure breath ketones. And some of the breath ketone analyzers that have been out there for years have been a little less than desirable with their results. And so I wanted to tell you about this one. And there it is right there. It's called BioSense. And it literally is this little tiny device that you blow into that is very professional. This is a medical grade breath ketone device called BioSense, and you blow into it. And the interesting thing that I loved about this and why I'm going to start talking about it a little more and using it in experiments is a lot of the other ones you can see into the chamber and see the sensor. This one has a closed chamber. In other words, ambient air just can't get in there randomly. It has to come from your mouth. And when you blow into it, it will buzz. It'll give you kind of a hepatic buzz on your lips when it's time to stop blowing, that it's got enough information to give you a readout for your ketones. And another one of the complaints that people have had about other breath ketone devices is they don't know what the equivalent is in BHB, the blood ketone, beta hydroxybutyrate. This one, it's a 10-to-1 ratio. So if you blow a 10 on the BioSense, you're at 1.0 in your blood ketones. If you blow a 15, you're at 1.5. So basically it's pretty easy. Just move the decimal point over, and that's the equivalent in BHB. So again, it's called BioSense. Go look it up, you guys. mybiosense.com, BIOSENSE, my, biosense.com. They did say if you mention my name, Jimmy, and put it in the coupon code, they will give you a, was it $20 off plus free shipping. So go check it out if you want to. I am going to be using this in some experimentation coming up. But I wanted you guys to know, in case you want to do the experiments that I do, to go get this. Is the latest and greatest. And this is a medical grade device. A lot of the other ones are not medical grade. They're using this actually in research now, and they've done some very thorough research using it for a wide variety of reasons. It's literally the coolest breath ketone device there is out there. And if you can keep from pricking your finger, I say all the better. Like, who wants to prick their finger all day testing blood ketones when you can have an equivalent that is high quality? And I was talking to the guy that created this on my podcast this week. So go check that out on Living La Vida Low Carb Show, llvlc.com. And he was telling me that, oh yeah, you could blow unlimited times for about 2 years before the sensor needs to be recalibrated. But 2 years and you get your money's worth with that one. So, all right, I think all the housekeeping is out of the way. I'm here for Ask Me Anything. So literally whatever question you have for me, this is your day to shine. So let me hear from you. And I am going to start with some that came in overnight when I posted this yesterday. I'm going to deal with these first. So this was the first one, and it was kind of a weird one. What diet would you recommend for a cancer patient? Well, number one, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical anything. I'm a lay person who educates people about health. So I would not be one who would say, if you have a disease like cancer, do X diet and all your woes will go away. That would be irresponsible of me. What I do know is a lot of cancers are called glycolytic cancers. In other words, they feed off of glucose. But the problem is not all cancers are that way. A bunch of them are, which there was a very famous researcher who won a Nobel Prize in medicine for his discovery, but his name Otto Warburg. Look up the Warburg effect, W-A-R-B-U-R-G. Otto Warburg was kind of way ahead of his time winning this Nobel Prize. But what he found was you can starve cancer cells by not feeding them sugar or foods that turn to sugar in the body. The only flaw in the Warburg effect is some cancers actually thrive on ketones as well. So for the irresponsible people in the keto space or the carnivore space that throw out, oh, just go into a ketogenic state and cut out all the sugar and the carbs and you'll kill the cancer. Well, that's not exactly true in all cancers. If it was, it would be revolutionary and we could definitely end this problem through a non-pharmaceutical answer. But it's a little more nuanced than that. So try to find which of the cancers are the most dependent on glucose. So the obvious ones would be things like pancreatic cancer, because that's right where insulin takes place. And some other ones, I believe breast cancer is another one that primary feeds on glucose, but you can look it up. And if you do eliminate sugar and most carbohydrates that would turn to sugar in the body, then that would probably be a good diet for a cancer patient. But you can't just across the board say, if you have X cancer in X part of your body, this is the one diet that cures them all. And it just doesn't do that. And that would be irresponsible for anybody to make that claim. But thank you for that question. Somebody said, what kind of water do you drink? The wet kind? What do you mean? What kind of water do I drink? I do have this purified water I get from Sam's Club on this little machine over here, and it comes out as this beautiful clear liquid. It's wonderful. I know this person, she said it's not a trick question, but it was kind of a weird question. I get the H2O variety of water. What do you? Tastes like water. So I think what you were asking is, do you use any kind of filter or do you drink the tap or blah, blah, blah. When I was a kid, my dad had an artesian well out in front of one of his restaurants. He had an artesian well, and we would go out there and get the artesian water, artesian well water. It's a little bit funky monkey if you're not used to it, because it's got minerals and things in it that are pretty healthy for you, but it was ice cold always. It was wonderful. I loved that artesian well. After you get over the initial, okay, what is this taste I'm having? But it's just all the minerals. I do like a good mineral water as well, but for the most part, I do the purified water that I get from Sam's Club. But thank you. That is definitely an ask me anything type of question. All right, next one. Any ideas when the next long group fast is coming up? Thank you for that. Yeah, so I've kind of resisted this trend to do a fast and to have a group fast during this time of quarantine because a lot of people have been stressed. And that's something else I wrote about today. If you missed my post today all over social media, people are stressed to the hilt and they be doing cray stuff. So in the midst of this, I've resisted the urge to do any kind of group fasting, which I have done before on Jimmy Rants. Last year, I did a couple of long group fasts, 7-day group fasts. And so I've resisted that so far since I've been back from sabbatical and since COVID-19 came out. But since you ask, yes, I will be starting a brand new 7-day group fast. I haven't announced this anywhere, so you're getting the exclusive scoop right here on Jimmy Rants today. June the 1st is a Monday. So starting June the 1st, and we'll go 7 days, I will be leading a group fast right here on Jimmy Rants. So we'll do all kind of content that first week in June, all about fasting. I'll probably do an open Ask Me Anything about fasting that week. And we will literally go 7 days just with fasting content that week. So I know a lot of you have been asking for that. You ask and I will deliver. I will definitely be using my BioSense device during that week. I'll probably put on a CGM as well, continuous glucose monitor, so we can see what's going on with the blood sugar in real time doing the fasting too. So you ask, you receive, it's coming. June the 1st, mark your calendars now. That gives you a couple weeks to get in a little more eating before we start fasting. But thank you for that. Now this was a funny one. Do you have a 2-year plan? And I was like, a 2-year plan for what? Like, can you imagine last year at this time if you put out a 2-year plan of, this is what I want to do the next 2 years, and then bam, COVID-19 hit this year. How's your 2-year plan doing now? So no, I'm not one of these people that likes to plan. And in fact, when I talk to people, because I work for myself, when I talk to people about like potential sponsorships, they're like, well, we need to have a 3-hour meeting for this and that. I'm like, no, we don't. Jimmy Moore's not doing a meeting. I don't plan. I don't, no. I don't like planning. I don't like meetings. I don't like any of that stuff. I'm a very much, let's just get it done and be done with it. I know some people's brains do well when you plan. I do well when I'm free willy and get to be me. I've done this long enough. I can adapt to the situation. I do not need to plan every little part of my life for the next 2 years. So do I have a 2-year plan? Yeah, still be around, still ranting, still writing books, still podcasting, still doing my thing. That's my 2-year plan. But thank you for that question. Next question, please tell us the deal with the raspberry cheesecake keto chow. So I saw that one coming in, so I went and grabbed a little packet. So there's the raspberry cheesecake keto chow. If you're interested in keto chow, jimmylovesketochow.com. But it's not the raspberry cheesecake one I don't think you're talking about. I think you're talking about the natural strawberry. Natural strawberry, of all their products, has a unique sweetener that all the rest of them don't. I think it's the monk fruit, and they might have one other sweetener in it. But what happens is when you get the natural strawberry one, if you ever get keto chow, buy whatever flavors you like, but get the natural strawberry, because here's what happens. if you just drink the keto chow, it tastes good, it's wonderful, blah, blah, blah. In fact, I did one this morning. I did the banana keto chow with heavy cream, and then I threw some of the Further Food chocolate collagen peptides in there, and shook it up and put a little ice in there and water in there and shook it up. And I had that earlier. But if you get the natural strawberry one and you have a sip of that one first, then have one of these others, it enhances the sweetness of the others. It's the most wicked thing. So it's definitely a difference in the sweetener of the natural strawberry one. So again, go check out jimmylovesketochow.com if you want to look that up. And if you order anything from them, definitely be sure to get natural strawberry. But that was a great question. Thank you for that. Alrighty, I think that's all the questions that came in overnight. So let's scroll back here and see what questions you have. Again, if you just joined us, we are doing the weekly Ask Me Anything, and we're here live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and of course Instagram Live where the show airs. And you can literally ask me any question you want: keto, fasting, cholesterol, book writing, podcasting, anything personal about me that you want to know about. This is the day I let my hair down. If I had hair, I would let it down today, and pretty much open up to you about all kinds of things. So let's get going here. Alice says, do you think it's okay to do alternate day fasting right now? Alice, that's up to you. If you think that you're doing pretty good at controlling your stress, then I think alternate day fasting is a great idea. So basically, for those of you that don't know, alternate day fasting is just that. You eat on Monday, you don't eat Tuesday, you eat on Wednesday, you don't eat Thursday, so forth and so on. And the premise behind alternate day fasting is eat enough food in one day so that then the next day you fast, and then you eat enough food the next day. Over the course of the week, it controls the amount of food that you ate and thus can help you lose weight and improve markers. Some people do well with that. I know Dr. Fung and I, when we wrote the complete guide to fasting, we put in alternate day fasting as a great way to keep the benefits of an extended fast up. Now, not everybody has to do alternate day fasting, which ends up being about a 36 to 42 hour fast, because if your last meal on that Monday, for example, is like 6 o'clock, and then you don't eat all day the next day, then you wake up on that next morning, but you're really not hungry till about noon, you've done a very long fast. I think most people get most of the benefits of fasting from intermittent fasting, so there's no sense in having to do an alternate day fast or even an extended fast. But it's up to you. Do you feel good, Alice? If you do, give it a go. And the worst case scenario is you try to get into this and you get on that fasting day, on the alternate day fasting, and it's fasting day, but you're like, oh, I'm hungry. Eat. You know, don't be the hero. People try to make fasting much more difficult than it needs to be. Listen to your body. And if your body's saying, let's go, then go. If your body's like, then listen to what the body's telling you. Okay? Thank you for that question. Successfully Spiritual AF says, what's one food that you miss since being keto or carnivore? One food I miss. Well, that's a trick question, because if I want a specific food, I'm gonna have that specific food. I'm not worried about labels of carnivore and keto and blah, blah, blah. I think we've fallen so much into a diet dictatorship when it comes to how we nourish ourselves. If you think you need or want something, guess what? Let yourself have it. Like, what's the big deal? Especially if it's infrequent, meaning not every week, not every 2 weeks, maybe not even every month, but just have it, enjoy it, and then move on with your life. I think when we get out of the diet dictatorship and get liberated to pretty much not see things as cheats, I really hate that term, and instead just look at it all as the same journey, you know, eyes wide open, why you're having that thing you think you want, then you get it. In fact, there was a question on Real Talk, my podcast yesterday with Dr. Will Cole, and somebody had asked, you know, do you guys ever cheat? And Dr. Cole talked about, oh yeah, when I have something, you know, I enjoy it and it's off plan, a little higher in sugar than I would normally have. He said, I don't violate my no gluten thing. He avoids all grains whatsoever because he has a family history of some autoimmune disease. So he does not ever have any grains at all, ever have grains at all. But he does allow higher sugar things from time to time, and that's his choice. And I talked about having a gluten-free crust or a cauliflower crust kind of pizza, which again can have things like tapioca starch and other things, non-grain types of things. So I guess that would be the thing that I would have. Of course, you can keto-fy it. There's the fathead pizza, there's the meatza, there's all kind of ways to get it in there. But no, I don't choose to look at food in that way. I choose to see food as, okay, everything's on the table. I just, for the most part, choose not to have most of the things I used to eat. But thank you for that question. Beth says there's definitely a bias against the black community, although lots of people aren't even aware when it's happening. Also, there is something to finding what you're expecting in any circumstance. Yeah, I try to be mindful of that mindset, Beth. And if you're just joining us and you're like, what in the world are they talking about? I was telling this story about an Oklahoma City delivery truck driver yesterday. He was being detained by this Homer white guy who wanted to know why he was in this gated community, and he was just doing his job, dropping off a piece of furniture to a customer. And when he was trying to leave, this guy blocked him for over half an hour before he realized the customer came out and said, oh, let him go. He delivered me furniture. And so there's a lot of perceptions that all white people hate all black people. But yeah, I mean, it's almost as if this guy had not shown up, would the guy have had that confirmation bias of what he already believed about white people? It's a very tricky situation. I try to put myself in their shoes because I don't know what it's like to live as a black man in America. And I know a lot of people talk about that in the black community. Well, white people don't understand, we're under constant siege, and I try to put myself in that position of what that would feel like and the real fear that's there. And it's real fear. I get it. I get it in terms of conceptualizing it. I don't personally get it because I've never been black. So it's just unfortunate these kinds of incidents take place, and then they get the explosion because this Facebook Live that he did showing what was going on went viral. 500,000 people have seen that so far, and it's been shared a lot, and I'm talking about it here today on Jimmy Rants. So it's unfortunate that these kinds of incidents happen, but I hope it's seen as one-offs. Unfortunately, there's a lot in the African American community that say this is what always happens. And then they're always begging, what can we do about it? And so I'm trying to use my platform and voice here today to say, this ain't okay with me. And I think a lot of us believe the same way that are Caucasian. We believe the same way. It's not okay. And I think we need to call out those people like these two guys that were detaining him yesterday illegally. We need to call them out and say, no, this is not right. And we do not accept this. Retro Spoon wants to know how much. So this for the BioSense. So this is $300, and then if you use that coupon code Jimmy at mybiosense.com, they give you $20 off plus free shipping. And of course, it seems like a lot of money up front, and it is upfront cost a lot. But then keep in mind, you get to test as many times as you want, blow into it all day, every day, as many times as you want for up to 2 years. And then the recalibration, I think Jim Howard is the guy that created this. I think he said it's like a $30 recalibration after 2 years. So it seems like a lot of money at first, but when you think about what it's doing and all those strips that you would be poking your finger with, you don't get the pain and you don't have to keep buying strips. It's just one device all in one, and it definitely translates to beta hydroxybutyrate. So thank you for that question. Rachel says, what's the minimum amount of time needed between your last meal and going to bed? I hate how I feel when I eat right before bed, but I'm really good at eating too late. So great question, Rachel. I will tell you my personal philosophy. I try to not eat any later than like 4 hours before bedtime. So for me, my bedtime typically is around 8 to 8:30. And so that means my last meal needs to be about 4 to 4:30. and I have a ring, the Oura ring. They're not a sponsor or anything, but that tracks how my sleep goes. And every single time that I eat well beyond 4 to 4:30, my sleep is messed up. It usually shows up as a disruption in my REM and my deep sleep, so that's the restful sleep. I also notice that I am awake more because ostensibly I drank some water with that meal, and so it makes me get up to have to go pee more. It's just not good. So I have learned, Rachel, that I need to cut off all eating and drinking no later than 4 to 4:30 for me, because my bedtime. So look at your bedtime that you typically go to sleep, back up 4 hours, and that's the latest you want to be eating. That's typically a good rule of thumb, because by that point, 4 hours, your blood sugar's done the spiking down. Of course, you're eating keto, it's not going to spike that much, but still, it's going to have a bit of a curve. You also are allowing your body to digest. The digestion process can last 6 or 8 or 10 hours, but most of the digestion would take place in that first 4 hours. So 4 hours before bedtime would be my recommendation. Mrs. Marvey, I feel great when I do alternate day fasting, works well for me, but listen to your body. Exactly. Thank you for that. All righty, so let's thank you, Instagram Live. This is Ask Me Anything, so keep the questions rolling, you guys. We're going to pop over now to my Facebook page. What's up, you guys? Thanks for being here today on Jimmy Rants. See what you got in store for me as far as questions go. Rhonda says, with your keto carnivore, why do we never see you eating fish or seafood? Two things. Fish makes me hungry. Does anybody else have that issue? I threw this up as a poll question on Instagram stories the other day, but when I eat fish, I am starving. Even the so-called fatty fish, I don't know what it is. It's just not as filling to me as red meat. So you don't see me talk a lot about fish and seafood simply because it just doesn't fill me up. Now, do I hate seafood? No, I love shrimp. I love salmon. But I have to be in the mood for some of those kinds of things. Like I can't just willy-nilly, oh, I'm just gonna go get some seafood. It's just that the fishy smell, it's just not desirable for me. But then I know when I eat fish, I will be hungry very quickly. And so that's the main reason why you never see me really talking about fish and seafood. If you like fish and seafood and you get great satiety out of those, please, by all means, include them in your diet. Now, because I don't eat fish and seafood, I do take a cod liver oil supplement, which gives me the omega-3 fatty acids that I need, that I would be getting from consuming those. And this is an important point too. If there's a food that's in your diet that you don't really like, or should be in your diet that you don't really like, it's okay to not eat that food and then to like take other things. Like for example, I'm not a big fan of liver. I know you're supposed to eat liver, it's very healthy for you and other organ meats, but ew. And I've even tried like hiding it in the hamburger meat, does not help. I'm a hyper taster, and so therefore I taste all of that little liverness. You know what I'm talking about if you've got one of those kind of stomachs. And so I don't eat liver, but I take liver pills. So I have these little freeze-dried liver, I think it's heart, liver, and one other part of the animal. And it's grass-fed animals. I get it from Paleo Valley, and it's this kind of organ supplement, complete supplement. So you make up for it that way. But that explains why I don't, Rhonda, talk about eating fish and seafood. I don't really like it a lot, but then it makes me hungry. So thank you for that. Mandy wants to send me some of her keto round to it kitchen goodies to try. Mandy, bring it on. You can just drop me a DM and I'd be happy to send my address. I'd be happy to try those. Sounds yummy. Thank you for that. Mary says, I'm 5'4", 145 pounds, been keto carnivore for the past 4 years, mainly carnivore. I've been 145 for 2 years. If I go lower on my protein or my fat, I lose weight, but I'm hungry. If I up my protein or fat, I'm fine and I don't get heavier. Could this mean my body has reached the weight I'm meant to be? Possibly. Mary, one thing to keep in mind is your body likes to stay in what's called homeostasis. Homeostasis is where you are is where it likes to be, which is why people who are trying to lose weight, it's an extraordinarily moving mountain and home to get your weight to move, because your body likes the weight it's at. So whatever weight you're at right now, just know your body likes the weight it's at. That's the homeostasis. It does everything it can to keep you right at the weight you're at. Now, does that mean the weight you're at is ideal? Not necessarily. But if you feel good, if your health markers are good, if you're tinkering like you are, moving your fat and protein up and down, trying to figure out and tinker and test, and you found that, okay, I eat a little bit more fat and protein and I don't gain weight, okay, and then you slightly lower protein or fat and you lose weight, but you're hungry, your body's sending you signals. Okay, you're trying to lose weight, but I'm gonna send you hunger signals because you need to be losing weight. So your theory is pretty good. I think you probably are meant to be that 145 at 5'4". I don't know that for sure, but I would say feel good as your primary goal. Don't look for a number on a scale. Hope that helps. Norma says, are your cruises, the low carb cruise, handicap accessible? It's a typical cruise. So all cruise ships have handicap accessibility. So yes, and if you want to join us, we had to cancel this year because of COVID-19, but the low carb cruise, we do it every year in May. lowcarbcruiseinfo.com. We already have next year booked, ready to go for 2021. And I have a feeling when they unleash us to be able to go back out into society again safely, there's going to be so many people at these keto and paleo and low carb type of conferences next year that it's going to probably be record numbers. We're all missing each other. We all want to see each other. So I am excited to get back out there, and Jimmy Moore is a hugger and a half, so get ready. I won't have to wear a mask. I'll just you breathe that way, I'll breathe that way, and we'll hug. So. But thank you for that, Norma. Abel says, thanks for talking about difficult subjects. You are inspiring. Thank you, Abel. I feel like if we as good people don't stand up when there's wrong happening, even if it's not wrong happening to us, if we as good people refuse to stand up, what happens when they come after us next? Who's going to stand up for us if we don't stand up for those that are a little less or a little more downtrodden than we are? Yeah, I refuse to sit idly. I will use my voice and speak out for what's wrong, even if the perception is, in this case with this poor gentleman, African-American gentleman that got detained by these white guys. If it means as a white guy, I call out the white guys, then I'm calling out the white guys because they were very much in the wrong. And they looked so racist on that video. My God, you guys, I was watching that and I was literally crying for mankind, because there is a perception that those two white guys are indicative of all white people. And I hated that. Hated that. Because we're never going to get beyond this race issue in America until we deal with those bleep heads that don't know how to keep their mouth shut and mind their own business. It's just, yeah, I will always talk about this kind of stuff. Judy says, have you ever followed the fasting protocol where you fast one day, then feast 2 days, then you fast 2 days and feast 2 days, and so forth and so on until you get 7 days with 2 days of fasting in between? Judy, I've done every incarnation of fasting, so yes, but I mean, the main point with fasting is there's not a formulaic way to do it. Listen to your body, do what works for you. Here's the thing, maybe you set out to do an intermittent fast, and let's say you make it 18 hours, you're still not hungry. You make it 24 hours, you're still not hungry. Why would you eat? I think listen to your body, be intuitive about the fasting. In fact, that would be a great book to write someday, Intuitive Fasting. And it would start with this ramping up of making yourself a highly ketogenic state first. And then once you're in that ketogenic state, the fat adapted state for a period of time, then you would add in spontaneously, it usually happens, periods of intermittent fasting, and then you kind of add in OMAD, 24-hour fasting, and then you would like alternate day fast, still keeping keto eating, and then you would start trying to fast for an extended amount of time, 2-3 days, and then 3 to 5 days, and then 5 to 7 days. I don't think you need to go more than 7 days. You have the law of diminishing returns with 7 days fasting. Unless you have severe metabolic issues and obesity, you don't really need to be fasting more than 7 days. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you can fast, Judy, but that's an interesting one that you outlined, so thank you for that. Mars says, I've been doing keto since 2015. Why can't I sustain my weight? It always comes back. Well, Mars, you have to know that weight is not just about the food you're eating and the diet you're on. I know this is so controversial because within the diet space, everybody's like, eat my diet and you lose weight effortlessly and you keep it off forever. Okay? What about other things that impact your weight? What about your stress levels, Marsh? What about maybe you're not sleeping that well? What about do you take any medications that would be adding weight to your body? My own mom, she's on a bunch of medications, steroids included, which put on weight on your body, for a condition she has called myasthenia gravis. It's an autoimmune condition. So there's just so many factors involved in why your body's still holding on to weight. You're talking to the king of it. Like, I eat keto, I basically eat hardly any carbs at all, and I still have weight on the body. And of course, I'm mocked mercilessly online because of that. Oh, look at the keto fat guy. And so it happens. And I think you need to look at some deeper issues that go beyond the diet. Obviously, movement can play a role in that, but I'm thinking for most people, it's unresolved stress. I've talked about some childhood trauma that I went through and trying to resolve some of that. So many factors involved. And I know one person, when I first started out in the low carb world back in 2005, there was one lady around 2006. She was a very prominent person, an editor at an online low carb magazine company. And her name's Laura. And Laura was having the same issue as you, Marsh. She was gaining weight and was basically, she had gotten her diet down to chicken breast and pickles was pretty much all she was eating. And she was still packing on pounds. And she couldn't figure out for the life of her, why in the world am I gaining weight eating chicken breast and pickles? And so finally she went to a doctor that could figure things out for her. And the doctor went in, you know what it was? She had a tumor pressing up against her pancreas. What does the pancreas pump out? Insulin. What does insulin do? It's the fat storing hormone. So when you have higher amounts of insulin being pumped out into the body, you could pretty much do everything right in your diet and you can still gain weight. And so for her, once she got the tumor released or removed from her body, the pancreas stopped pumping out so much insulin, she started losing weight. So sometimes there's other factors going on in the body that we need to be kind. This is why I think some of the fat shaming that's put out there online about people like me and other people that don't look the part when it comes to eating keto, you got to have a little kindness and compassion about what else is going on there, because it's not always as it seems on the outside. And keto is not this grand poobah magic pill that's going to automatically help everybody lose weight and keep it off forever, okay? Kira says, I keep hearing things like flaxseed can cause cancer. I have no idea if that's true or what good research papers to review. Here's the thing. If you hear a bombastic claim like that, Kira, like I did in my Jimmy Rants yesterday about looking at bad science, if you hear a bombastic claim and you can't find anything about it, it's probably just some claim somebody pulled out of their keister. That's usually a telltale sign, because if it's truly legit, you would be able to find a really good trial on that. The only thing I've heard about flax seeds as it relates to some kind of risk in your health is men who consume flax seeds can tend to have prostate issues, which I suppose could lead to prostate cancer. That's about the only thing that I'm aware of. Other than that, I have not heard anything bad about consuming flax seeds. I have had flax seeds and flaxseed oil. I'm not a big fan. I don't really like that. If I'm going to get the healthy fats, omega fats from something, I'm going to get it from fish oil or from grass-fed beef and things like that. But no, I haven't heard anything about flax causing cancer. If you've got any links that you want to send to me, please send them on. I'd be happy to take a look at what they are. More times than not, it's probably not even a legitimate randomized control clinical trial. I don't know how you would do that in a clinical trial. Probably a mouse study, maybe epidemiology, but if you have that, send that to me, Kira. I'll be happy to take a look. All right, thank you, Facebook. Let's pop on over to my friends over on YouTube, see if you've got anything. YouTube, you're being quiet today. I don't see anything. Weird. Because usually I see there's three thumbs up, but no comments. You guys are like, this is your chance. Ask your questions, please, please. All right, let's come back over here to my friends here on Instagram. Beth says, I eat fish only occasionally, and I almost always hold it with pork panko and then slather it with butter, so that helps. Yeah, if you add more fat to fish, it definitely can make it a little more satisfying. I don't know if it's the specific amino acids that are in fish or what it is. It just does not fill Jimmy more up. And so give me a ribeye steak, and that they always say it'll stick to your ribs. It sticks to my ribs a long time. Luelo says, fish is not satisfying to me, especially shrimp. Yeah, shrimp is like basically all lean meat. There's no fat on shrimp. It's like 99.999% protein is basically what it is. So, but I do love shrimp. When I was a kid, my Aunt Jeer, Memphis, Tennessee, she had this little small apartment, even smaller. Her whole house, her whole apartment was smaller than Jimmy Rant's studio. That's how small it was. But she would host all the family on my mom's side of the family. And we'd get maybe 30, 40, 50 people in this little bitty apartment. And she had, you know, you hear about this one butt kitchen. She didn't even have a one butt kitchen. It was a half a butt kitchen. There were a bunch of butts in that family. So she always at Christmas time put out a big platter of bull shrimp. So that's when Jimmy learned to love bull shrimp, was because of my Aunt Jeer at Christmas time of all things. You know, most people put out ham, maybe turkey. No. She did those things too, but she put bull shrimp. I don't know where that came from, but that's where I learned to love shrimp. How do you decrease cortisol, says Luello. So great question. Cortisol is that hormone that is typically correlated with your stress response. So obviously anything that you can do to lower stress. So deep breathing, I would do about maybe 12 to 20 of those kinds of breaths that I just did. You will find yourself go way, way more relaxed when you do that. Yoga is another one. Really a light kind of exercise can also help with stress. Also taking things in stride. People often compliment me because I get berated with some really ugly stuff on a daily basis. You seem to like take everything really well. And I've learned over the years, you don't get real upset about things. You don't last as long as I have in this space, 15 years, if you take things to heart. And so if you're stressed because people are doing things or saying things, you need to learn to just let it go and just take it in stride. It's just a part of the process. So yeah, anything that will kind of lower that stress should lower your cortisol. Alice says, have you read either Sean Baker's Carnivore book or Paul Saladino's Carnivore Code? Really interesting. Yeah. I have actually read both. In fact, Sean, I helped him get his book deal with his publisher. So behind the scenes, I help a lot of people get book deals done. I don't usually publicize that, but it's just an interesting side note that I saw the value in the carnivore message getting out there. And so I talked to my publisher, and now Sean has a book with them. Yeah, I think it's wonderful what the carnivore community is doing as far as messaging. My only problem with the carnivore community, and I've talked about it quite a bit on various podcasts, is I feel like they've become a little more militant than they need to be. Because one of the things that has always been put out there is, well, the vegans are so militant and so religious about what they believe that that's too much. Well, guess what? The carnivore people, a lot of them are doing the exact same thing. Exact same thing. And so back off a little bit, guys. Don't be so rough with the message. The message speaks for itself. You don't have to sit there and mock the vegans and be, for lack of a better term, be an a-hole. You know, don't have to be that way. But I'm seeing that too much. Not necessarily from Sean and Paul specifically, but from a lot of the adherents. So yes, love their books. No, don't like where the movement is going right now. I think they're doing more harm than good. All right, let me pop over here. I saw a few more come into Facebook. Lana says, the info you are sharing is explaining a lot to me. Thank you. Appreciate your sharing your knowledge. Well, that's my job. I love doing that. Mandy says, I like fish, but unfortunately it has to be breaded, fried, and not taste fishy or smell fishy. I haven't tried any of the keto-friendly breading. I also hate my house smelling like cooked fish. Yeah, that is the problem. Once you cook fish, it does kind of emanate into the walls and the curtains and everything. I suppose for breading, you could do like an almond flour egg wash kind of thing. Pork rinds would be an interesting one to try. So if you crush up pork rinds, I know that usually makes a nice little breading for like chicken. I bet it would work the same for fish. And then of course like deep fry and maybe coconut oil, maybe that would add some extra fat. I have to be in the mood for fish, one, because of the fishy thing that you were just talking about, Mandy. And then I really just don't like the taste of most fish most of the time. If I'm in a restaurant and I know the chef can prepare it well, then yes, and they prepare it properly, then yes, I'll probably order it in a restaurant or something. But making it home, it does stinky up the place, doesn't it? Kira says, I love sardines, salmon, scallops, anchovies, mackerel, and shrimp. I hear they've got selenium, and I'm still learning about nutrient density and including a wide variety of foods in my diet. Hopefully I'm doing it right. Time will tell. Well, selenium, the best way to get selenium is Brazil nuts. You take 1 to 2 Brazil nuts, you get all the selenium you need. So I would not just eat those foods just for the selenium. All those foods you mentioned are wonderful for a whole lot of things. Selenium was not the first thing I would think of for any of them. Which, by the way, nutrient density, Kira and other people, if you're interested in nutrient-dense foods and deficiencies that you might have in various nutrients like selenium, Dr. Will Cole and I did an entire episode all about nutrient density and the deficiencies you might have and how you can get and shore those up through food and supplements. Real Talk was the episode yesterday that aired. Go to llvlc.com and you can listen to that episode. It's up right now. All right. Julie says, I decided to try carnivore for the first time because my weight loss stalled. Any words of wisdom? Yeah, just do it. I think sometimes go carnivore and they're like, okay, now what? I'm like, do it. Like, eat fatty meats. That's how you do it. My only word of wisdom is try to avoid leaner meats. So don't make chicken breast a meal. Now, there's nothing wrong with the proteins per se, but if you're going to eat carnivore, I think it behooves you to eat it in such a way that you're getting a nice mix of fat and protein. For most people, you need about that 1-to-1, maybe a little bit more than 1-to-1 ratio of fat to protein so that you get the satiety, because satiety doesn't come from protein. I know all the protein pushers, they want to say, oh, protein is satiating. I'm like, yeah, if I eat just chicken breast, I'm hungry an hour later. Satiety comes not just from protein. Protein is an element in it, but it's also coming from the fat that's naturally occurring. That's why I love a ribeye steak, because it's got naturally occurring fats in there along with the protein, and it fills you up and keeps you satiated for many hours. If you're getting hungry less than 6 hours after having your carnivore meal, you did not have enough fat in that meal. So the word of wisdom is be mindful of your fat when you are consuming a carnivore diet. All right, let's come back to Facebook, or YouTube. I posted a hello, but it disappeared. Now that's weird, Shirley. I don't see any comments except for that one, so I don't know what happened. Are the gremlins at YouTube trying to shadow ban me again? So they are doing that, by the way. Somebody wrote me on Facebook and said, you know, you've been shadow banned by Facebook. I'm like, I'm sure. My traffic is down on a lot of the formats, and so I'm not surprised if I was shadow banned there. Luello says pork rinds are excellent for breading fish. You gotta ground them finely. Yeah, I figured that would be a good way to bread pretty much any protein that you wanna cook, deep fried. All right, guys, so ask me anything. That was a fun show. Hope you enjoyed that. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, interact with you. You guys are really the lifeblood of why I do this show. I show up here every day because I love you guys, and I want to keep providing information. I hope the stories are interesting enough for you that you want to keep coming back, and a lot of you do. A lot of you keep coming back again and again, so I appreciate all of that. Definitely make sure that you tell people about the show. I think we do a pretty good amount of content from a wide variety of things. I know I got criticized about a week ago. Somebody over on Facebook was like, all you ever post about is COVID-19. I was like, do you like watch everything I do? Because if you did, you'd know I talk about all kinds of things all the time. So yeah, we try to keep it a nice mix, and I always try to stay uplifting, encouraging, educating. That's literally my jam. And always try to be a calming voice and a sensible voice, because sometimes there's some wackadoodle people out there and you need somebody that's a voice of reason. And I try to be that kind of voice for you guys here on Jimmy Rants. So that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you want to go engage live, you got to go follow me over here on Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, we do go live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes we do a 5 p.m. one. I didn't do any 5 p.m. ones this week, which means I've got to make up a little bit on the weekend. So we do some weekend ones as well. We simulcast over on my Facebook page. Thank you guys for being here on Jimmy Rants. We also simulcast over here on my YouTube channel, YouTube streaming live. So thanks to you guys as well. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, you do need to pop on over to JimmyRants.com. You'll see all the past episodes, and we house all the archives over on YouTube as well. Type in the keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. So guys, that's it for now. Until next time, we'll see you then. All right. Oh, I see what it's doing now, you guys. When I end the video, it's not letting me post it on my stories anymore. Oh, that's interesting. I noticed this yesterday that I went to save it, and it does let me save it to my camera roll, but it does not let me post it for that 24 hours. It's always done that. And then it says share to IGTV, but it only lets you post a snippet of it. Man, something's up over on Instagram. Oh, that's crazy. What in the world? Okay, anyway, that's not y'all's problem, but interesting. Oh my gosh, because I saw that yesterday. I was like, why didn't it go to its normal? And it's gone. So if you missed the live, you can't see it on replay there. Now, thankfully, it does let me save it to my camera roll, and then I pop it over onto JimmyRants.com and YouTube. But that's funny. Wow. Yeah, Instagram has gotten weird. All of these formats have gotten weird. I still can't get on my Jimmy Moore's Livin' La Vida Low Carb Facebook page. I'm still blocked there because they want me to verify my location, and every time I verify it, it doesn't verify. I know somebody said I've been shadow banned here on some of my pages. People can't see all the sites. I have people every single day on Instagram talking about when I post something, oh, this is the first thing I've seen from you in 3 weeks, and I post like 4 or 5 times a day. And then here on YouTube, I know I lost 200 followers overnight, 200 subscribers. And then of course, remember they changed my category from health to kids, and then people couldn't get notifications of the live. So if you're watching this, you must have unsubscribed and resubscribed, because that's how you get the notifications, or you just happen to see I was going live. So a lot of weird stuff happening behind the scenes on all these social media places. Mandy says maybe with the high COVID traffic, they're trying to cut down on server space. Yeah, but I think they're targeting specific people who are talking about things that maybe they don't like. And I've talked about that on other Jimmy Rants. Of course, they're censoring a lot of the doctors who are talking about COVID that's off the mainstream narrative. Something nefarious, at least in my mind. I'm trying not to be conspiratorial, but it's almost hard not to see some of that stuff going on. All right, there was another question here that Maria had. I'm on metformin, 500 milligrams 1 time a day. I can't stay away from my mango tree, eating 3 to 4 a day. Do you think I'm hurting myself or damaging my liver? I really enjoy my mangoes. I'm at goal weight. My A1C is 5.9. Is that a problem? I'll get it rechecked next month. Yeah, mangoes are sugar. The way you need to frame this in your head, Maria, is I know mango is a fruit. Mango is natural, but it's a natural sugar. And you need to look at fruit, and we put this in my book, Keto Clarity. Fruit is nature's candy. And I get it. There's micronutrients that are found in fruit, blah, blah, blah. Is it worth the sugar bolus that you get in that mango just to get a few little micronutrients in it? And if your A1C is 5.9, you're definitely not doing yourself any good. And that metformin is trying to make you more insulin sensitive, but every time you pop your mouth with more mango sugar, you're making that metformin not be as effective. So I would say get rid of the mangoes, try to replace them with some kind of a fat and protein source. If you feel like you need that, I get it. We all want that sweet taste, blah, blah, blah. But yes, you are doing more harm than good continuing to eat those mangoes. So drop them and you should easily see your A1C go down to closer to that 5.0. Hope that helps you out. All right, let me look one last time over here on YouTube. And I don't see any other questions. So Shirley, you're the only one talking to me here on YouTube. So, all right, guys, let me pop off of here for now. I have a meeting at 1 o'clock I need to go to, but it's a meeting I want to go to. Not unlike the one I talked about during the Jimmy Rants. I don't like long, sponsor meetings. It's like, no, let's just tell me, here's what I need. Give me that, and let's roll. So let me get off of here for now. We'll see you again real soon. Bye. Bye, YouTube.